Welcome back to Glow and Flow Radio, the space where women come home to themselves, mind, body, and everything in between. Today, we're talking about something that happens in your body before you even realize it's happening: anxiety eating. Not the kind of eating where you make a conscious choice, the kind where your hand is in the pantry before your brain catches up. The kind where you finish an entire bag of something and can't remember tasting a single bite. If you've ever found yourself eating frantically, urgently, almost desperately, like food is the only thing that will make the buzzing in your chest stop, you're in the right place. This episode is called Anxiety Eating When Your Nervous System Won't Let You Stop, because that's exactly what's happening. Your nervous system is driving the car and it's looking for relief the only way it knows how. So take a breath, no judgment, no shame, just understanding, compassion, and tools you can actually use. Let's start with what anxiety eating actually is, because it's different from other types of emotional eating. Anxiety eating is fast. You're not savoring. You're consuming quickly, almost urgently. It's mindless. You're eating without tasting, often not even aware you're doing it. Anxiety eating is driven by physical sensations: racing heart, tight chest, buzzing energy, the feeling that you need to do something right now. Emotional eating is hard to stop, even when you're full. Even when you want to stop, the momentum keeps going. I can remember one time having an anxiety emotional eating episode, because I also deal with anxiety. And so I had this episode. This was years ago, and I remember eating these cookies. I think they were Oreos, but the type doesn't matter. But I remember getting these Oreos and eating the entire packet or container of Oreos. And I ate past a stomach ache. I just couldn't stop. Literally, I just could not stop, and I kept going, and I had this awful stomach ache, and I felt horribly physically and mentally afterwards. So that's what it is. It's hard to stop. I was eating it fast. It was not about enjoying the cookies. It was just about needing to deal with that anxiety right then through food. But here's what's really happening when we go through this process. Your nervous system is in fight or flight mode. Your body thinks there's a threat. Your brain is scanning for danger. Your heart is racing. Your muscles are tense. And food is immediate. Food is available. Food is something you can control when everything else feels chaotic. So your body reaches for it, not because you're hungry, but because you're trying to calm a nervous system that's screaming. And here's the thing no one tells you: this isn't a character flaw, this is biology. Your body is doing exactly what it's designed to do when it feels unsafe. It's trying to survive. Have you noticed that when you're anxious, you don't reach for a salad? You reach for chips, cookies, bread, ice cream, something crunchy or creamy or sweet or salty. There's a reason for that. When your nervous system is in fight or flight, Your body releases cortisol, the stress that literally makes you crave high calorie, high carb foods. Then your brain wants quick energy when you're in fight or flight because it thinks you're about to run from danger. You're seeking dopamine, the feel good chemical that food, especially sugar and fat laced foods, provide instantly. Crunchy foods, they give your jaw something to do with all that tension. Creamy foods, they're soothing, comforting, almost like a weighted blanket for your mouth. Sweet foods give you an instant blood sugar spike, an instant energy, instant relief. Your body isn't being bad or weak when it craves these foods during anxiety. It's trying to help you feel safe. The problem is the relief is temporary. The anxiety comes back and then the shame kicks in. That's the cycle we're going to break today. So let's talk about the anxiety eating shame loop and what happens after anxiety eating. The pattern usually looks like this. Something triggers your anxiety, a difficult conversation, a bill, a notification, overthinking, or sometimes nothing specific at all. Then your nervous system activates. Your heart's racing, chest tightens, thoughts are spinning. So you reach for food, fast, mindless, urgent. You even eat past your fullness because you're not eating for hunger, you're eating for relief. The anxiety then temporarily dulls. Your body gets a brief hit of calm or dopamine. The shame arrives. Why did I do that? I have no self-control. I'm so weak. Those are the thoughts, the negative thoughts that begin to circulate in your brain. And then finally the shame comes in. Well, the shame arrives in the previous step, but the shame creates more anxiety. That's what I meant to say. The shame creates more anxiety, and the cycle begins again. So again, something triggers your anxiety, your nervous system activates, you reach for food, you eat past your fullness, the anxiety temporarily dulls, the shame arrives, and then the shame creates more anxiety. This is the anxiety eating shame loop, and it's exhausting. But here's what I want you to understand. The shame is not helping you heal. The shame is fueling the anxiety that drives the eating in the first place. You cannot shame yourself into stopping anxiety eating. That is not effective. What you can do is learn to recognize when your nervous system is activated and give it what it actually needs, which isn't always food. Let's discuss eating to calm versus eating from anxiety. There's a difference between eating to calm your nervous system and eating from anxiety. Eating to calm looks like choosing foods intentionally, eating slowly enough to taste your food, feeling more grounded afterward, and it's a conscious choice to soothe yourself with food. And that's okay. We are human, and that will sometimes happen. Eating from anxiety looks like eating quickly, almost frantically, not tasting what you're eating, feeling disconnected from your body, feeling worse, not better, afterward. Both are valid. Both make sense from a biological perspective. But when you can start to tell the difference, you give yourself options. Sometimes you might choose to eat something comforting on purpose to calm your nervous system, and that's self-care. Other times you might recognize that your body is asking for something else, perhaps movement, breath work, connection, rest, and food won't actually give you what you need. The goal isn't to stop emotional eating entirely. The goal is to have a choice in the moment and choosing wisely based upon what your body needs. Now, we must talk about how restriction creates anxiety. Here's where diet culture has really messed us up. Most of us have been taught that the solution to anxiety eating is more willpower, stricter rules, removing trigger foods from the house, controlled eating plans, or restriction. But here's the truth. Restriction creates more anxiety. When you tell yourself you can't have certain foods, your nervous system interprets that as scarcity, as danger, as not enough. And what does your body do when it feels there's not enough? It panics, it hoards, it binges. The more you restrict during the day, the more intense your anxiety eating can become at night. The more you label foods as bad or off limits, the more your brain obsesses over them. Diet culture tells you the problem is the food, but the problem is the anxiety, and restriction makes anxiety worse. So if you've been trying to control anxiety eating by controlling your food, and it's not working, it's not because you're failing. It's because the approach itself creates the problem it claims to solve. So what actually helps, you may ask? Learning to regulate your nervous system at different points in the cycle can help. And to do this, before anxiety eating, you need to pause. This looks like when you feel the urge to eat and you suspect it's anxiety related, try this 4-step ritual. First, name it. That is, I feel anxious right now. Second step, feel it. Where is the anxiety in your body? Chest, your throat, your stomach, your neck, maybe even your back. Third step, breathe. 3 slow breaths, longer exhale than inhale. And the 4th step is to ask, what do I actually need right now? Again, 4 steps before anxiety eating. Name it, feel it, breathe, and ask. Sometimes the answer will still be food, and that's okay. But sometimes the answer will be a walk, a cry, a text to a friend, 5 minutes of stillness, moving your body, screaming into a pillow. I mean, you determine what works best for your body's needs. If you would like additional guidance, you need to check out our guide. Instead of eating, I Can, your emotional eating alternative toolkit. The link is in the episode description. I think you will find it to be very helpful to reframe your thinking and find gentle, effective alternatives to emotional or anxiety eating. Now, let's say you're already in the midst of anxiety eating. At that point, you need to focus on compassion. If you've already started eating and you can't stop, don't try to force yourself to stop. Instead, bring in compassion. Tell yourself, my body is trying to feel safe. This makes sense given how I'm feeling. I'm not broken. I'm overwhelmed. The more you fight it, the more frantic it becomes. The more you accept it, the sooner it softens. Now, let's say you've already had an anxiety eating episode. What you do next is very important, and no shame is allowed. So, what you should do after anxiety eating is not punish yourself. We don't restrict ourselves the next day, and we definitely don't spiral into shame. And what you do after anxiety eating can be more important than the anxiety eating itself. So remember, no punishment, no restriction, and we're not going to spiral into shame. Instead, drink some water, not gulps, but sips, slowly, with intention. Take a few deep breaths. Move gently if that feels good. Journal if you want to process your emotions. And remind yourself, I'm learning, I'm healing. This is part of the process. Now let's get really practical. Here are some tools you can use right now. I'm going to give you 4 tools. The first tool is called the anxiety pause, and it lasts for 3 minutes. Before you eat when anxiety is high, set a timer for 3 minutes. Put your hand on your chest. Breathe slowly, 4 counts in, 6 counts out. Continue this breath practice for 3 minutes. And after 3 minutes, check in and ask yourself, do I still want to eat? If yes is your answer, then eat. If no, then try another tool or coping mechanism. Now, the second tool is called the grounding 5-4-3-2-1 method. When anxiety is taking over, name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. This brings you back to your body and out of your spinning thoughts. And take your time with that tool, and you will find it to be very useful. The third tool is called the anxiety release movement. Anxiety is energy that needs to move through your body. So try one of these: shaking your hands vigorously for 30 seconds, jumping up and down, dancing to one song, going for a fast walk, or doing 10 jumping jacks. You're not burning off what you ate. You're releasing the anxious energy. Okay? Now, tool 4 is called the comfort food intentionally. If you know you're going to eat for comfort, do it with intention. Choose what you actually want. Sit down, not standing at the counter. You need to sit down to eat. Eat slowly enough to taste it. Take time to notice how it feels in your body. Then thank yourself for meeting your own needs. This transforms anxiety eating into intentional comfort eating, which is a form of self-care. Now we need to talk about when you need to seek additional support. That's important. And I want to say this about that. If anxiety is significantly impacting your life, if it's affecting your ability to work, connect, sleep, or function, please consider reaching out for professional support. Therapy, especially trauma-infused informed therapy, can help you understand the root of your anxiety and develop more tools. Medication might also be an option worth exploring with a psychiatrist or your therapist if your anxiety is severe or persistent. There's no shame in needing more support than a podcast episode can provide. Healing isn't about doing it alone. Healing is about getting the help you need. That's the ultimate goal. So let's bring this home. Anxiety eating isn't a moral failure. It's not about willpower or self-control. It's about a nervous system that's trying to keep you safe in the only way it knows how. Your job isn't to stop eating when you're anxious. Your job is to give your nervous system more options for feeling safe and to meet yourself with compassion when food is the option you chose. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're actually human. You're overwhelmed and you're doing the best you can. And that's more than enough. If today's episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Until next time, glow through your anxiety, flow with compassion for yourself, and remember, you deserve peace in your body, in your mind, and in your relationship with food.